This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 520 for the week of April 20th, 2025. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Kanzenshuu, the podcast, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site, Kanzenshuu. We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. Here we are, mid-April 2025. It can only mean one thing. We have reached the 10-year anniversary of Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, the second, let's call it revival era theatrical film for the Dragon Ball franchise. We reviewed this film at least 3 times on the podcast. Episode 378 from the Japanese theatrical debut, episode 379 from the premiere in Los Angeles, where it was subtitled there, and then again episode 387 with the American English dubbed screening. Here we are again 10 years later for another look at Resurrection F. Certainly a different atmosphere to look at this film in, considering what it spawned in its wake. Dragon Ball Super came almost immediately after. And Resurrection F remains probably the biggest outlier of the Super era material, right? Battle of Gods kind of stands alone and is our new introductory stuff. It's got Beerus and Whis going for it in terms of new characters. We get Super Saiyan God out of it. But Resurrection F, it's not really a sequel to Battle of Gods, and it's not really an introduction to anything that comes after it, although it certainly gets mined for things, which we'll touch on. Hey, what are we actually doing here? Yes, we are reviewing Resurrection F for its 10-year anniversary. My name is Mike. You may see me around as Vegito EX. Joining me on this episode, we've got Ajay back on the show to talk about what I believe you'll hear and confirm is his favorite cinema piece of all time, Resurrection F. But just as a recap, if you don't remember, following Battle of Gods release in 2013, it was about mid-July 2014 during Golden Week that a new film was announced. We didn't have a title for it yet, but we did get a small flyer. We had artwork from Yamamuro. The flyer at the time had this big tagline, "The worst wish in history. That is the beginning of despair." And we had a comment from Toriyama on the back there. We didn't get a title for the movie until November later that year, 2014. That's when we had Fukatsu no F, which at the time we were translating as Revival of F. The film would eventually get an actual formal English translation of its title, even in Japan, as Resurrection F. A little bit different from Battle of Gods, where Battle of Gods is called Kami to Kami, God and God in Japanese, and had a separate English subtitle within its own materials as Battle of Gods. So Resurrection F is kind of consolidated branding worldwide. We got several trailers, and also as part of the marketing on-ramp to the film, Toyotaro took a break from working on Dragon Ball Heroes Victory Mission over in V-Jump, came in with a 3-part introductory manga adaptation of this film, with the 3rd part debuting basically alongside the premiere of the film itself. So Resurrection F remains the one piece of, let's call it, the Super era stuff that doesn't have a complete manga adaptation. And it's, of course, arguable that Battle of Gods does not either, but it at least has a beginning and end to it. And that was it. Resurrection F came out. Super started shortly thereafter. As we approached the Future Trunks arc of the Super TV series, Resurrection F got a special TV version that aired on Fuji TV. But unlike Battle of Gods, that got an extended version of its material, this adaptation of Resurrection F just had recap material pinned on to basically the beginning of it, acting as a recap and reminder and setup for the Future Trunks arc of Super. So Resurrection F here remains as is from its original theatrical screening. other than its readaptation into Super. I think the other key setup before we get into the review here is just a reminder that the idea for this film came from a song. Maximum the Hormone released a double A-side. It's actually a 3-track, so it's got a B-side, a C-side. Back in 2008, Sume 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 and F. The song was also later included on their 2013 album. The song, even though its lyrics are about Dragon Ball and describing it, there's some other stuff in the song. I encourage you to read the translated lyrics that Julian did for our website over in the lyrics section on Kanzenshuu about a cult that was responsible for the big gas attack on the Tokyo subway system in 1995. So there's a lot behind this movie there. The song inspired Toriyama. We have a little bit of a back history where we went to a show and he drew something for them, and the song inspired him to bring back Frieza. And so even though the song already existed, it inspired the film, and then it ended up getting used as an insert song in the film. And I think that's plenty set up for the review here. Let's get on into it. We'll talk about Yamamuro. We'll talk about Sumitomo. We'll talk about some of the cast. Mike, AJ, take it away. 10-year review, retrospective thoughts on Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. I will see you on the flip side to wrap up the show. Here we go. Joining me to talk about the film of the decade, Dragon Ball Z, Fukatsu no F, Revival of F, the F in Fukatsu.
Oh, that's a throwback.
AJ, how you doing, man?
Oh, man.
Well, that's a loaded question, but I will just say it's great to have you.
Yeah. Oh, God. That was Anime News Network, right? That insisted on the F in Fukatsu for like 2 weeks or something, right?
Okay. Yeah, it was. All right. So whoever was doing their news at the time, like, I understand this, where it was like, there's not an official English translation of the title yet. So we're either going to exclusively refer to it by the like transliterated, untranslated title, or come up with our own translation. And for whatever reason, they went with, it was like as literal as you can get with the translation from someone that would have no familiarity with, like, never mind Dragon Ball, but almost like anime in general. It's almost as if they outsourced it. I don't even know. There's no reasonable way someone could come up with that for translation. and yet they did. And it was funny for, a week or so, but yeah, the F in Fukatsu really stuck with me.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, everything was very weird around that time.
I still have people say to me Revival of F, and I'm like, I don't know you, and I don't know that you know Kanzenshuu, and yet you're still saying that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, man. I cannot believe how long it's been. That honestly feels like 2 seconds ago. I don't know why, but like, this will make no sense, but... And I think it's because I spent so much time with Super, but Super feels like ages ago. But Resurrection F, despite coming before, feels more recent to me. I think because it was just like, it was such a fleeting moment. And then Super was and Super was on forever. So I think I just like kind of forgot about that. But then weirdly, Battle of Gods feels as old as it is, but I think that's because like that was the new thing and there was so much time between that and Resurrection F. Yeah. Anyway, time is weird is the bottom line.
Battle of Gods is like when you really got into things too. Is you had watched, I guess. Okay, so we're talking with the anime AJ. You watched the show as a kid. You were almost like a half Funimation, half Westwood kid, weren't you?
Yeah. So what was it? It was 2001. I think the UK got it, and we had. Like the Ocean Westwood cast for like the vast majority of it. There was like the Funimation bit in the middle, and then there was some like on some of the rebroadcasts later for the Boo portion. They would like swap between casts randomly. Because I have like really vivid memories of being like, hold on a minute, like what? We changed voices again? I was used to voices changing and not really understanding why, because we went through like what 3 Gokus or something. So like that was my entrance, and then I kind of like vanished a little bit from Dragon Ball throughout the mid 2000s up until about 2012 where I was like, oh, I'm too cool for Dragon Ball. I'm going to be watching stuff like Death Note and Elven Lied and, all the all the edgy stuff. And then, I found, what was it? I think I watched Kai and I found Kanzenshuu because originally I was trying to watch Westwood, and a friend who was already a member of the Kanzenshuu forums was like, that dub is like really bad, right? And this Kai thing exists. I was like, oh, okay, fine. And then kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Bukai didn't exist at the time, so had that in Japanese. Was told that GT's dub was terrible. Watched that in Japanese, and at that point, I was like, well, kind of love this cast, so whatever. Like, I guess I just watch everything in Japanese now, and that was the pipeline.
Yeah, I'm with you on Res F feeling like a fleeting moment is a great way to describe it, because we got it and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to do a TV series. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they redid those movies in that show. We'll get to that a little bit. All right.
Sure.
So here we are. We are ready to talk about Resurrection F as a 10-year retrospective review. It's really going to be less a review of the movie, I think, and more just a casual conversation about the stuff we noticed, stuff we remember about it, thinking like, oh, here are some of the lasting impacts we had from it, whether those are Yammer or otherwise, certainly. I literally, just before hopping on with you, rewatched the movie, I think for the first time in 9 years at bare minimum. So that's the perspective I'm coming from with this. I'm pretty sure I must have watched at least in entirety the arc of the Super TV series. I know I dropped it during its airing, but I must have finished it because I did a podcast review about it. And
you
I
forced yourself through it. Yeah.
To do that, right. But other than that, and flipping through the Toyotaro's manga 3-chapter intro adaptation of it, I have not rewatched this movie in all this time. And spoilers up front, that's the way to go. This is how you should do it. Don't rewatch movies. Just come back to them in 10 years. So I'm going to kind of like almost stream of consciousness from when I was rewatching the movie and making my notes is how I want to guide this conversation.
Nice.
But AJ, before we go any further, I do have to do this. I'm stealing this from one of my favorite podcasts, the Just King Things podcast, reading through the books of Stephen King, publication order over at Range Touch. I love their work. I love the show. Ken's not here. AJ, I need you to summarize Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F in 5 sentences. You are encouraged to explore the breadth of the English language and the punctuation therein. Give me commas, give me semicolons, give me em dashes. Come on, buddy. What is Resurrection F in 5 sentences? Count them out.
When we did the Daima thing, I was like so glad that you didn't ask me to do it, but I think Res F would probably be okay. So I think it would be sentence 1, Frieza is back for some reason. So that would be, sentence 1. Then sentence 2.
Sure.
This character, Jaco, is here, and we are expected to know who this is, despite no exposure to this character really outside of Japan. Sentence 2. Okay. Sentence 3. There is a big battle with lots of CG and questionable plot moments. Sentence 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sentence 4. Goku and Frieza punch each other into rocks over and 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 over again, comma, and then Goku is shot. Final sentence. Vegeta steps up, fucks up, Earth is exploded. I guess there's probably some kind of punctuation in there that I'm too tired to think of right now. Yeah. Sure. Time is rewound. CG happens again, and Goku and Vegeta have some banter to finish things off. The end. Is that? I think that's 5. About works.
That's 5, and I don't think you could honestly ask for a better recap of Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F than that right there. Having just watched it, yes, that this could have been an email. AJ, let's start with Yamamuro's work overall. He's the boogeyman here. Tadayoshi Yamamuro, all-star from the 90s, back for Battle of Gods, back for Resurrection F, and promoted to director of the film.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the art and direction and why everyone's heads are too small.
Oh, dude, this film is so bizarre. I struggle to even really call it a film. It has no filmic production value whatsoever, really.
Okay, so Mary sat down for literally 2 minutes on the couch, looked at the screen and said, "This doesn't look like a movie," got up and left.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a completely accurate assessment. And it's funny because, like, I sometimes will look at bits of Battle of Gods and sort of feel the same, but Battle of Gods, of course, has the massive, Naoto Ishida finale, and like there's actually some cool, ambitious sequences in there. Resurrection F, not really. No, it is, Tadayoshi Yamamuro stepping into the director's chair, has never done it before, storyboards the entire film with no assistance at all. It is, from start to finish, just this big homogenized Yamamuro product. And Yamamuro, bless his heart, does not have the creative ambitions and, interesting approach to animation that I think is needed to do something like that. It's not even a glorified special, really. It's an average TV episode, really, if I'm being honest. There are moments in it that look subpar, surprisingly subpar. What was it? I think it was the Imagination. It was for NHK. They did like a whole documentary about the making of, and he spoke about how he there were some assistant animation directors, but by and large, he corrected every single frame of that film. And he pulls out this absolutely giant, folder upon folder, thousands upon thousands of pages, so many drawings. I respect the work that has gone into it, but my God, man, it has no ability to let any creative in that film strut their stuff, really, because it's all being filtered through a single vision. And it's just a shame that vision's not interesting. And I think, obviously, we'll talk about the story, but, you take all of those things and put it all together and it's Jesus, what is this?
Two things that stick out at me. One is kind of actually the next bullet point on my list. Another's a little later in the film. First thing we see in the movie is a low frame rate CG fish. And that just kind of sets the stage for me. The other thing I think of is a little bit later, we have Beerus and Whis and Goku and Vegeta speaking. And the camera just digitally pans to the right and digitally pans back to the left. That's the direction of this film.
Yeah, there's just no ambition. There's nothing. It feels like someone has a stock of things that they like to do, and they just kind of did that and didn't really think too much about anything.
Did we get Vegeta holding his arm? We didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, is he holding it right at the? Maybe not, but yeah, I might have been looking at my phone. Yeah, for anyone who may not be aware, I think since that film has come out and we've seen Yamamuro take on stuff like Heroes and various super episodes, he has a repertoire of things that he loves to do, and he will do it endlessly, nonstop, and it is all over that film. It is, there's nothing wrong with having traits, but it just feels so cookie cutter.
Yeah, and this is where it starts. I do want to talk about some things early in the film that stuck out to me that I'd either forgotten or just love. And one is Gohan's design. I actually love Gohan in this movie. There's something about his haircut. It's not just the tracksuit. It's even pre-tracksuit with his little button shirt. I think Gohan just looks spectacular in this movie.
He does look great. I agree.
It really bridges the Gohan we know as a child to the Gohan we know later as an adult. And that's Toriyama's work. That's less Yamamuro. So I do love that there. Frieza's body parts falling out of the sky is still the funniest fucking thing in the world to me. And then holding up Frieza's eye. I forgot about Shu's second wish. It was give me $1 million, whatever it was. Something like that.
Yeah. And then they added a wish right in the TV series, right? Or do they take away?
So.
Yeah, I forget what it was. But yeah, no, I so agree on Gohan.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Oh God, I remember when the poster first dropped, and everyone was like, "Is that Yamcha?" But wait, there's no Scar. Like what?
Yeah.
Who is? Yeah, like I remember all the discussion about that back and forth on the forums. But yeah, no, I really like that design. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's so lame." I'm like, but it's the cool green tracksuit and the dorky hair and the glasses. Like it's so perfectly Gohan. I love it.
And as we learned from the tax story, like it's a Toriyama self-insert. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at my shelf over here, and I've got these figures. I've got like all the Frieza Force figures lined up front, and just towering over them is Gohan in the green tracksuit looking off to the side. I love this design. He's just such a good boy. All right, moving on from there. Twice, I believe, in the movie, we get the Maximum the Hormone song, and in both instances, they're just very strange placements. And I like this song.
Yep. Yeah, I like that song as well. You'll have to remind me. So the first one is when Frieza's being reborn. When is the second one?
Yes.
Is that like right? Is that during the fight?
It's during the fight, and it's just instrumental, and it's
yeah,
to talk about. But I was watching. I think there's only 5.1 tracks. I was watching the Funimation Blu-ray. Obviously, I was watching it in Japanese, but there's a lot of stuff that just sounds really quiet. I'm watching in surround sound. I have surround sound. I didn't hear any surround sound in this movie. And stuff just occasionally felt so quiet and so hollow. I know it's not my setup because I watch things that are properly, done and I hear it. So I think it's just, I don't know, Toei they don't know how to color their films. They don't know how to mix their films. It's par for the course, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely remember very long stretches of silence, particularly like when the fight first starts. And like that can sometimes be effective, but I think when you combine that with Sumitomo's music in that film, which for me was always such a step down from Battle of Gods. I don't know if you liked the Battle of Gods score. I was quite fond of it.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, there's a couple. Well, it's might as well not even be here for the most part.
Yeah, Res F is so full of these like long, like droning guitar sounds, if I recall correctly, and like there's some nice stuff. I quite like Frieza's.
Yeah, we get some like choral stuff with Frieza.
That stuff's cool, but yeah, I think a lot of it is more atmosphere than those like memorable melodies and motifs that you sort of got used to in Battle of Gods, and of course the stuff that came much later. It's definitely a very subdued soundtrack.
Talking about something story related here, this is kind of a scuttlebutt, for lack of a better phrase. What do you think about Frieza's training? So we have this, all right, I'm back. I've never trained before and I've learned so much. What if I spent a few months training?
So like, I've never hated that as a concept. I just think, and this was something, one of the things I did shortly after Super started coming out was I started putting together a quote unquote super cut of Resurrection after trying like address some issues with the film. And one of them was to at least like try and show some of that training. Because I think like when you take a character like Frieza, who you saw in, essentially the second major arc of the Z portion of the story, and then fast forward to all this time later after something like, Super Saiyan God and all of these other crazy things, obviously Super Saiyan Blue debuts in the film. I think if you're going to do a big power jump like that, you have to show some kind of like meaningful push there. I don't know that you can just go, and then he did some magical training and was strong enough to take on the world. And like that, I always found that a little bit lame. So yeah, for me, like you can do that, but at least show something, right? Show some kind of struggle.
I'm really conflicted on it because, as I mentioned, I haven't rewatched this movie in at bare minimum 9 years, if it hasn't been 10 years. And then there's a lot of stuff that I'm conflating with the TV adaptation because I also only watched that once. And so that's kind of like mixing up in my brain. So there are a couple of things where I'm like, oh, Frieza, he doesn't mention image training in this. Does he? Was that only the TV series? That could also be, I was zoning out. Maybe I was looking at my phone again. I wasn't paying attention to that part. But then also things like Gohan powering up. Oh no, it's everyone powers up. There's like differences between the movie in the TV series. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it was over here. For me, I actually really like the underlying conceit of Frieza, like being so embarrassed by what happened previously that he like has to do this. I kind of that a lot.
Absolutely.
And the showing it versus not showing it, I almost don't really care, because I do understand this is a movie. We have an hour and a half. This is actually like long for a movie here. So how much do we show?
Sure.
And then thinking about what it got turned into in the TV series, I'm like, blessed am I who only watched the movie, never mind the TV series. So I almost don't have any strong feeling one way or another about it.
I'm not like, punching walls over it, but I think like to the TV series' credit, it includes it's maybe 15 seconds, and it's just
just like punching the dude, right?
It's a cutaway of it's Taguma, who's like the skinny one, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So, it's like him on the floor.
10 years ago.
He's like, what is he? He's like beaten up, and he's like, oh, get up. You must be ready for more training later. Yeah. So like that kind of thing, I was like, okay, I think I could have done with just like just a smidgens of that to like see like what was the process here, even if it's literally just that, like I just beat up one of my henchmen for
but he fucking kills everyone in this movie. I forgot about that. Like he just throws Taguma outside, and then the ship is like sucking everyone out, and Shisami and Sorbet are almost like the only ones left.
Yeah, man, I'd forgotten that. He does. Immediately gone.
All right, moving on from that stuff. You mentioned this. Yeah, Jaco is such an interesting inclusion in this movie. We did get the simulpub of Jaco over here, but people don't read manga. They're certainly not reading digital manga at this point in time, back in 2013 when Jaco's coming out. And so, I mean, this is, to Toriyama, it's new and recent, but Jaco has technically always existed, but you're only throwing him in. It doesn't work, but it works. As a huge Galactic Patrol fan, I love Sachi, I love Gia, I love Jaco, I love the Moro arc. I'll mention Moro again in a little bit.
Yeah.
So to have Jaco here, I think he works great alongside the cast, having these little moments here and there, like him up against Kudiden and then being like, hey, you're just some shitty Earthling. How are you able to do this? And be like, you're a weird guy with a weird face. And how are you able? Like, I like that stuff, and so it works. But it's also, it feels very forced, especially now in retrospect. It felt forced at the time. It feels more forced now.
Yeah, Jaco is he's a ray of shining light in that film. He's so fun. Like even his intro when he rolls up to the Capsule Corporation desk, right, and he gets they say Zako, whatever it is, small fry compared to Jaco.
They reuse the same joke that was in the Jaco manga itself. It's like, Toriyama, I see through you.
Yeah, like he's a lot of fun. And you're right, I had forgotten that it was pubbed. I even read it at the time, just completely forgot. But yeah, I think it's a very strange decision to carry on this animated version of the show and include a character that has never been animated and introduced. And I think they even name drop Bulma's sister right at one point.
They do. He mentions types at one point.
Yeah, I just remember so many people being confused because they just had no idea. Like, who is this person? He seems to know everyone. It's such like a Toriyama, you so adored writing Jaco and you just wanted to put him in here for more fun. And I so respect that. I love Jaco. I have no notes about him in this film.
It really speaks to Toriyama and him seeing everyone as like these chess pieces / action figures to just put on the board wherever it fits, whether it's Jaco or whether it's the Turtle Hermit, which we will see again in the Tournament of Power. Like, I just want to use this character, so I will. But it also reminds me of did we really have to mention, Tenshin Han says, I left Chaozu and Yamcha behind. Buddy, Heroes gave Yamcha a story arc where Yamcha gets like a multi-universal girlfriend. Good for fucking him there. But also, I really think too, Toyotaro and the Moro arc, where I know we've mentioned this many times. I think Ken brought it up recently too, where Goku shows up and Yamcha's like, yeah, like I got this, we got this. And Goku just like smiles and gives him a thumbs up or something. Like it's not a big deal because Yamcha's totally fine. And to see Toriyama reduce him to the meme here was a little sad to me on rewatch.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have any real strong feelings about Yamcha, but I am always a fan of characters being included in a way that feels organic. So yeah, you know, it didn't bother me, but there certainly could have been a way to bring him in for sure.
I do want to talk about Goku and Vegeta here soon, but this kind of leads me into something I wrote a little later, getting into the bigger fights, but it almost felt to me like a mix of DBZ movies 3 and 5. 3 in that we get everyone doing their signature attacks. So we get the Kianzan, we get the Kikoho, we get the Makanko Sapo. We don't get a Masenko. But then we get like this fight through the trees, and it really reminded me of movie 5 there. I'm like, well, yes, we're a DBZ movie here. We're just like, we're going through the motions with this stuff.
Yeah, that's the general feeling that I remember so vividly from back then, when people were very caught up in like, oh, it's this new Dragon Ball thing. It's only the second thing since the revival. You know, people went and saw it. And I feel like the reaction at the time was, you know, oh, it's not like Battle of Gods where it feels like a big continuation. It just feels like a fun Z movie. Like it's just
a one-off.
Yeah, like dumb and brainless. And then of course, over time, as we've seen where the series has gone, like it's been looked back on as just this like black mark of just like nothingness. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that, because I remember, because when I first saw it, I think I was maybe the most caught up in the hype, even more compared to most people, because it was also coincided with me going to Japan for the very first time. And I saw it in a near empty cinema. There was like one person in there, because I saw it at stupid o'clock. And yeah, I just remember like seeing a lot of these moments for the first time was exciting, but then you sit and you reflect on what the film is outside of its popcorn moments, and it then starts to fall apart a little bit, for reasons that I think, you know, we'll start to get into as we move through the film now.
Yeah, it really reminds me a lot of before anyone had seen it, everyone hated it except Julian, who was living in Japan and actually saw the movie in actual Japanese theaters and came back and was like, yeah, I had a fun time. It was totally fine. And like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you had a good time watching this movie? It was just a fun reaction. This kind of speaks to what you're talking about, like with some of the things and the black mark versus almost what it contributed to the future. First off, Goku and Vegeta's outfits. It's such a shame we didn't continue onward with these outfits. Just like the kanji less dogi and Whis' marks and Vegeta and his colors. Like, just no notes on this.
Yeah, they're really nice. Especially Vegeta's stuff. It's like, it just makes sense to have something new like that. To then immediately go back to the Cell stuff afterwards was such a shame. They're really nice designs. I love Goku stuff, and it would have been so nice to have kept that, because I think, like, you know, one thing that's always defined the series is how Goku's kanji has changed, outfit has changed as time has gone on, and yeah, we just kind of regressed. Yeah, real shame. It felt like a meaningful difference. It felt like that halfway step between, you know, the end of the Boo stuff and the end of Z outfit just felt right. But alas, we can't have nice things.
The other thing that really stuck out to me on rewatch here was like, oh, Toriyama's fully foreshadowed Ultra Instinct like to a T.
Yes.
From the very beginning of this movie, whether he knew he was doing it or not, because it's an absolutely natural progression and explanation of what Whis wants them to do, but to see it and hear it so perfectly outlined in this movie, like Whis has Vegeta and Goku just marked here. It's so good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the real benefits of having a Toriyama pen script, where like the characters are the characters and they feel like the characters. And
yeah.
I think what I love so much about that Ultra Instinct foreshadowing is it kind of addresses an issue that a lot of these kinds of series run into, which is that whole idea of power creep. It's like, oh, well, what do we do now? And I think what gets outlined by Weiss there is such an interesting answer to that, where it's like, okay, well, we're not necessarily going for more power here, but it's more about how do we hone what we have to be automatic, to be instinctual. And I think that's an interesting and meaningful way of doing things. And I like that a lot, and it's a shame we don't really get that until Ultra Instinct, of course, comes back around later. But as a concept, as like a groundwork, I love that. Yeah, I think that's excellent.
All right, from here, we kind of have to go because it involves Weiss a little bit too.
Yep.
But we almost get, I would say, too much telegraphing between, hey, Sorbet, you remember our plan, right? And then Weiss attacking Goku while he's distracted, kind of back to back. It's like, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. It's so funny because Weiss, Weiss rewinds time right when Beerus blows up all those planets in a rage, if I'm remembering correctly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we kind of established the tension on Dua very early. I feel like, there's the gun. It's coming. I mean, we'll get to that, I suppose. But you're not wrong that they kind of revealed their hand a little bit too overtly, very, very early days.
Beyond that, I feel like we get a lot of just like little things here and there. Bulma talking shit to Frieza is just like an all-time series of minutes in a row here. It's just great stuff.
So good. That's always one thing that I have enjoyed from the modern material, that like Bulma is not afraid to be sassy and yell at villains, and it's so much fun. Or it was Zamasu's case where I don't know what she was doing there, but she certainly had a plan.
Yeah.
But that stuff is great.
It was also around here that I started noting / remembering like, oh, we're getting the Hidenori Arai like actual sound effects, whether it was the Kienzan where it goes whoa, 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 whoa. And then you get like the almost fart noise when someone is flying and stops on a dime kind of stuff. Like whether it is Arai's sound effects or Kikuchi's music, they are so ingrained into the feeling of Dragon Ball that having at least one of them here made such a huge difference for me.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't get, how do I put this? So it was nice to hear Arai with some like reasonable mixing in Res F there. I think this was kind of like the swan song for Arai's quality, because I think then when you look at what then happened to his work on One Piece, it kind of fell off a cliff. And I think we were then fortunate when it came to Daima. It was like, okay, well, we got Arai's sound effects back, but someone else is mixing them. And so we get the best of both worlds. It's always nice to hear them. They are so important to Dragon Ball. I always thought it was such a shame that we didn't get them in Super. Like, as you said, Kikuchi is part of Dragon Ball's DNA. But like, to me, those sound effects are as important as like the shape of Goku's hair. Like they are.
Yes. Yeah.
They're so completely attached to every tiny little detail. Like, the squeaking sound as certain people are walking, like that's so iconic. He really created a soundscape that is just, it brings Dragon Ball to life, and not having that in the series is such a shame. And so, for all of Res F's flaws, that being there, it's like, okay, this is still Dragon Ball. Great.
So around here in my viewing and my notes, we actually get, like, I don't have a whole lot to say. And then suddenly we get Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Blue, as we'll later refer to it. It's kind of fucking nothing. I didn't remember this. Like, there's almost no music, no sound effects. It's just 2 seconds long. Goku, like, gets a spin and he's blue. That's it. All of a sudden he's blue. It's like we already knew, from commercials, from the fake cover of Volume F where they didn't show Vegeta with blue yet, but he would have it too. Like we knew blue going into this movie, but the movie treats it as such a huge thing but the production behind it when it debuts it is nothing.
Yeah, it's so nothing. And I so love that we completely skimmed over the start of the fight because that's also nothing.
So the thing I was thinking of was actually like, this is a taste of things to come with Goku Black, where it's like, okay, we fight and we're done, and we fight and we're done, and we travel back, and we fight and we're done and travel back. Like, that's what this movie is for a long time.
There's all this big build up, right? Like you have all the henchman stuff that gets done with. Then Goku shows up with the teleport, and then they try to create this rising tension of like, oh, things are about to happen, and it's just like it's complete silence, and they have this fight in the silence, but the choreography doesn't exist because I tell you what, I think it was Kay who pointed this out on Twitter. He was like, the choreography in this film is the same thing over and over and over again. It is a couple of punches, and then someone gets thrown into a rock. Mm-hmm. And when I noticed that, I was like, oh, wow. I knew it wasn't interesting in terms of its framing, but something that was always praised really hard back when the film first came out. It's like, oh, the martial arts choreography, there's so much like realistic, like hand-to-hand stuff. It's like, that does exist, but that's not everything, you know?
People think of the 1-inch punch, which is a great moment.
Yeah.
But also then I rewatched, I'm like, oh, it's actually not as good as you remember.
No, and they completely fucking forget that then there's this random Beerus Wee Strawberry section that just like deletes the tension. But yeah, like, you know, there's nothing interesting in terms of direction to make those like quiet before the big moments feel like the tension is rising. And as you said, you then get to the blue bit, and to me, a form like that is something that you pull out because you need to pull it out. That it's something that the tension hinges on. And I get that the tension has been shifted to Vegeta in this film. So like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like they made Goku's anticlimactic so they could have, when Vegeta does it, to have the American theater moment of Vegeta does something and everyone cheers. That's what they were going for there.
Yeah, like I don't dislike the idea of, you know, two really powerful people looking at each other and going, fuck it, fuck all pretense. Here is what I've done. Here's what you've done. Now here we go. But even that's not exciting with how it's executed. And I think that then comes down to what was requested of Sumitomo for the music, because I remember this because I changed this music when I was doing my my edit, because as soon as they start clashing, this like really happy synthy guitar thing comes on. And it's like, well, what is, you're not even trying to create tension. What tone are we trying to feel here? It's jarring. It's really weird. I don't know how else to describe it other than just weird. It's a head scratcher. Like I don't know what the intent there was. Like if it had come really early on, if we'd foregone all of the henchman stuff and we'd started the fight, okay, we're going to keep the fight lighthearted and then we're going to go from here on. But they don't do that. It's like, okay, we're going to have this big henchman fight. We're going to have Gohan who fucking dies for like half a second, and then has his is it Piccolo who does the like key and up he gets. Like they create tension there, but then delete it, and then it just kind of doesn't exist until Goku gets shot. So very, very odd.
You mentioned Beerus and Louise, and as I was watching this movie, if you want to call it a movie, I was thinking just like, oh, how quaint it is to have Beerus and Louise on the sidelines and just, oh, all this could, and we know this is how the movie goes, like, oh, this could all just be resolved, no problem. But like, it's actually cute and funny and reasonable to me here. And to have the moment where Frieza addresses Beerus and is like, excuse me, no honorific, like, there's good shit there. It's such a shame because this is all we get for the entirety of Super.
Yeah. Like, I'm so in two minds about them because I agree. Like some of the interactions they have are a lot of fun, and they do make it clear that like they're not getting involved right now. But at the same time, I think, as we said, they telegraph a fix to everything quite early, and so their presence does kind of undo the tension a bit. And I find it quite hard to justify them even being here. Yeah, I'm not one of those people where I watch the film like, oh, why are they there? But I think in a film that is already really struggling with tension, I always found that to be like, but now we're undoing it even more. I think in a better film where like the illusion of real tension had been created, I wouldn't have found them to be much of an issue. But I think because, as I said, like there are issues with it, it's like, it's another notch in those issues. But, again, just to swing back to the positives that you were talking about, they are cute interactions. They're always fun to watch. And I do really miss the times when Beerus and Weiss felt so fresh and fun and unique to the franchise, because then Super took them and just kind of, either through overexposure or just repeating the same gags endlessly, they started to wear a little bit. But at the time, man, it was nice to just, enjoy the presence. I definitely agree with that.
So where we're at with my rewatch and my notes is around the time Vegeta comes in. And the thing I noticed had nothing to do with the story. It was everyone else still looks bad, but at this point in the movie, Frieza looks incredible. There's just something about the drawing of Frieza's face and his head are finally like at the right proportions. And there's just the right amount of detail. And it was like, oh, there's Yamamuro. Like he's in there somewhere. Come on, buddy. You got this.
Yeah, I think I remember the part you're talking about. It's when they're like floating up in the sky, right? Is it around then?
It's on the ground.
It's like on the ground. Okay.
From the entire section where Vegeta comes over to Goku lying on the ground.
Oh, we're talking after he's been shot. Sure. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. From there on out, just like every shot, every close up of Frieza looks incredible. Everyone else looks awful. We've got Vegeta's neck is like 8 miles long, but Frieza looks good at least.
Yeah, I'm with you now. Yeah. Do we want to touch on the shooting part?
All right. So that's actually my next note.
Okay.
Is to talk about this,
right? Because
we had it telegraphed early on whether it was sorbet. So you remember our plan, right? Quote, quote, quote.
Yep.
And then all the Frieza stuff. I'm not the getting angry power scaler guy. So I'm not out there going, well, actually, whatever it is that he has shouldn't technically be able to penetrate his defenses. Because if you think back to when Bulma shot him with bullets in the first chapter when he was, only a few years old, like none of that comes into play for me here. I actually thematically, it resonates correctly for me. And so I think that kind of gives it a pass for me. But if I think about it any further than that, it kind of all falls apart.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me where I don't care that there's this magic, is it a ring? Right? That he uses. A ring. Yeah, I don't care about that at all. I think that's fine. But I think if you're going to do one of those off guard things, it has to be in a scenario where it's genuinely shocking and genuinely off guard. I don't know that the scenario that it's put in quite sells me on that.
They were just talking.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't feel like Goku is meaningfully distracted. So it sort of falls apart in that sense. And again, it just feels like every single criticism I have of this film just comes down to the direction of it. There's no care put into the staging of all of these sequences, all of these ideas that could be interesting, but they're just done in such a mundane way that when they do happen, you just immediately hyper-focus in on all of the potential issues.
Yes. That's such a great way to describe it. It's in a bubble, they're all totally fine, but because it's just a movie and because you're stuck with it for that moment, you're like, wait a second here.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame.
All right. Well, then can I say that it was extremely fucking satisfying to watch Vegeta just fucking wail on Frieza for a little bit there?
That is a moment I will never criticize. That moment is so fucking good. That is a moment that I think is actually has some solid direction, and it's also really well animated. That's animator Yuki Hayashi, who did the crazy, almost My Hero Academia looking section of DBS Broly. That is such a great powerful, punchy beat down. And it's like, it's just Horikawa's delivery of just like, I'm going to be completely merciless right now. Like, just prepare yourself, Frieza. It's just so good. Yeah. No, that sequence is great. Like, that sequence is single-handedly what I remember from that film when I think about when I watched it for the first time. Because to me, it's always served kind of like, Star Wars Rogue One, right?
I don't watch these movies, but please go on.
Well, I was going to talk about the ending of it, but now
go ahead. I don't fucking care. Just
sure. Okay. Well, look, Rogue One is a fine film. I like it. It's cool. It's great fun, but it's a film that the fan base holds in such high regard. And I have always been adamant that the reason that it's held in such high regard is because its final sequence is of just Vader just like appearing from the darkness, the lightsaber appearing in the smoke. Like, it's this incredible, harrowing, just like terrifying moment that I think people walked out the cinema going, holy shit, that was fucking incredible, forgetting that, the film itself is fine. Maybe even good, yeah. And I think it's kind of a similar case with Resurrection F around launch, where like, people, they remember that Frieza beatdown. And it's so fucking good that you kind of just like, you ride that hype wave for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I love that. So good.
But then we get to the rewind, which again has been foreshadowed explicitly in the movie. I'm of a couple minds of it. My rewatch here, like I'm stepping over to the side of give Vegeta his W here. Yeah. Like I'm almost finally with that crowd. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Just give him the win.
It's so thematically perfect as well. Yeah. Because like this is a Vegeta who, was under Frieza's thumb, who broke out from under his thumb, and then spent the series developing as a character to encounter that oppressor again and to not be given the win. It's like, really? Like, putting aside that, Vegeta gets a win, I just think thematically that is a really bad decision.
I think what really breaks it for me is just how poorly animated and directed Goku coming in with the Kamehameha at the end is.
God.
Like, it's just like a bloop.
Oh my God. How do you get Katsuyoshi Katsuru to come back and animate that whole sequence, and then you merge his animation with the shittiest CG possible? Really? Like, it's just, it's so bad. It's so bad. And it's so unsatisfying because there's no like, again, there's no rising tension to it. It's just, shit, the Earth is gone. Oh, we're really sad. And then, we're going to rewind time. Boom, hard cut. Kamehameha, done. There's no like, they already build to it again. It's like, we're now just going to speed to the end of the film.
The way that Goku yells Frieza, I almost feel like they're trying to evoke Trunks the way that he says it, and then he fires a burning attack, then he does the sword. But if that's what they were going for, it doesn't show on screen.
No.
And like that would have been, well, now that I think about it, like that would have been too on the nose. So maybe they were trying to avoid that a little bit. It just doesn't work for me, ultimately.
No, I think there's such a finality to Goku's section of the film that for him to just suddenly jump back in after a quick senzu, it's like, right, fine. And again, it's so fast that I think it's very difficult not to walk away from that with that's it. Because the big climactic moment is Vegeta's moment. And if you're then gonna, fake that out and then come back in with a second final climax, that climax has to be exciting. And it's not. It's arguably one of the weakest looking parts of the film.
It's so easy to be like, well, they should have just done blank. They should have just done blank. What if they did blank? And this also evokes a prior moment in the series. I'm thinking back to Cell and Gohan holding back and Goku's ghost saying, do it. Like, what if Goku just came back and was like, Vegeta, just fucking do it. And then without thinking, to Whis' point, Vegeta just reacts and destroys Frieza in a moment.
Yeah, incredible.
And him being like, wait, what the fuck? Why did I just do that? Like, I don't know, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great idea. That works thematically on two levels. So 2 thumbs up from me.
I never really thought about it until now, but like that kind of makes a little more sense to me. The last note I had while rewatching the film was I don't remember this Momoiro Clover Z song at all, and it might as well be the first time I'm hearing it, even though I own, 2 CD singles of it.
Oh, yeah. I remember that name. I don't remember the song at all.
Song came on, I'm like, I've never heard this song before in my life. And then that takes us to the end. We get the credits, and then we get the stinger with back in his little cocoon thing, which, comes back around again in Super. I would argue in a really great way. But
I just wish I had more to say on this film. Like, it's terrible to sit down and do a podcast and like all your thoughts kind of just amount to just a long sigh, a slight groan.
Just, what the fuck? All right. So here's my ultimate kind of realization on this is that, as usual, Mike has done this the right way and didn't rewatch this movie for 10 years. This was a great way to do it, because as much as I don't want to say trashed the movie, maybe I've trashed the movie for the last hour-ish here. I actually had kind of an okay time watching the movie. And I know that almost sounds a lot like our Daima review, where it was like, I was kind of bored and, I gave it a lot of grace, and ultimately, it was kind of whatever, but I had a good time.
Sure.
That's kind of how I felt rewatching Resurrection F. I think what's critical here, though, is that this got adapted into an entire story arc in a TV series. And it just doesn't have the support for that.
No.
At all.
Yeah, the thing that I enjoyed most about the TV series adaptation are the parts that are not, that take place before the film. Because I think if there's one thing that always bothered me a bit about Resurrection F is that it, like, okay, there are ties, obviously, but it doesn't feel like a meaningful sequel to Battle of Gods.
No, not at all.
And so the fact that the TV series was like, okay, right, we're going to show Vegeta really frustrated that, Goku has this power that he doesn't have. And so he seeks training that way. Having a mini arc of that in the TV series, I love that. And that was one of the parts that I was so keen to integrate into my personal edit of this film. Because it was like, if we're going to off screen the power up to keep it a surprise, that's absolutely fine. But I think it would be, it's an interesting idea to consider what Vegeta would think as a character. And again, work this core theme in of Vegeta being kind of a main character of this film because of his ties to Frieza. So like, that's the part I enjoy. But then, you get to the TV series covering the movie part, and it's like, oh no. Oh, we're dragging out every single thing to 20 minutes and then some, and it just falls apart, especially with some of the worst animation I've ever seen committed to TV.
I've seen it a lot where people are like, watch Battle of Gods, watch Super like 14, 15, just watch Resurrection F and then like come back in. Like, because there are, I haven't rewatched it again since, 2015, those in between episodes. But I remember them being worthwhile and doing something with like, okay, we got to bridge Super Saiyan God to Super Saiyan Blue here. Resurrection F does nothing for that other than Goku's, you can sort of say his statement about this is the power of Super Saiyan with Super Saiyan God, whatever, but that doesn't really accomplish enough there.
Yeah, that was such a word salad. I have like such a strong memory of all of the translation discussion that went around about that, because it was like, what does he mean here? Like, it's so kind of hand waved away. It's like we just wanted a new form for merch, and that's what we got.
It really does feel like a single one-off film, which it was. Like that was the point of this movie. It was just another single one-off film with no real look ahead to what could be built upon it. And I think we saw that throughout the entirety of Super. And God bless him, Toyotaro did what the fuck he could with Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue to reconcile what they are, what they mean, what their powers are, how they affect one another. But in a bubble, they sort of make sense. But as a longer story that it turned into, this causes a lot of problems for as many things as it properly sets up. Like Ultra Instinct, like A+, no notes there, Toriyama. You nailed it. But some of the other stuff here was just like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it all starts to fall apart. And I think it's because I think it all starts with Battle of Gods, where like Super Saiyan God is this thing that becomes like absorbed into Goku. It's not this, like it was never a permanent outwards form. But of course you can't. That's
the thing. Resurrection F does it perfectly, where it's like, I don't really need to transform into Super Saiyan because I got it.
Yeah.
Like it, but the instant we go beyond.
Yeah, it's like now, right? Yeah, the merch demands the hair colors. We can't let that one go to waste. We got to bring it back. Yeah. And you're right. Toyotarou, he does what he can with it, and I respect that immensely.
So I guess just wrapping it up, we've talked about this. Is this the black sheep, the black mark on the modern revival era of the franchise? Almost certainly. Like I feel like it deserves and lives up to that reputation. But I also feel like there's a little bit in me of that early Julian response to it. It was like, I watched it. I had a fun time. Jocko was cool. It came away. I mentioned this to Mary while I was watching it. Like, just hearing Ozawa and Nakao talk to each other, like, I'm having a great time there. That's all wonderful. I come away being like, okay, I watched the DBZ film. I feel like you have to take this movie as if it were a serialization era film, but it's not. And that's the problem.
I think for me, because I've watched it a lot, I've come to despise it. And I think when I think about a film that wants to be a Z film, I look at DBS Broly and I'm like, that's how you do that.
All right. Well, in 3 years, I'll rewatch that movie again. To my earlier point.
I cannot believe it's only 3 years away. What?
Yeah. We'll get there.
Oh, I don't like that.
2018, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't say that again. I cannot believe it's been 10 years. That's insane.
AJ, what is the legacy of Resurrection F?
Like, in terms of people's response to it, or just like...
You can answer this however you want.
Oh, man. I mean, I think you kind of described it right. Like, I think it will just forever be seen as this kind of black mark on the revival era. Because I think everyone is married to a certain part of the revival. Some people will swear by Battle of Gods. Some people adore the Goku Black arc. They adore the Universe Survival arc. For a lot of people, Moro is this amazing thing that we knew it must be animated now. Come on. I don't know anyone who's going, Resurrection F. I think it would just be this kind of forgotten thing where I think even the people who like it would probably say, it's not my favorite thing. Yeah, I think for me personally, I view it as this, 90 minutes? This 90-minute distillation of everything that was kind of wrong with this direction of Dragon Ball at the time. Yeah, I unfortunately have basically nothing positive to say other than the tiny little, bits here and there that we're like, I guess that's kind of fun. I just think it is just an unmitigated disaster of a of a product, I have to say.
We see so much, whether it's, again, as a non-viewer, the Star Wars prequels that get reappraisals by its fans, perhaps its younger fans over time. Resurrection F, I think, is a little different in that it did get a re-adaptation in the Super TV series, so it's kind of hard to extract the two from each other. Do you envision a future in which someone reappraises Resurrection F as like, actually?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think it would have been possible were it not for the TV series, because I think Resurrection F, when it came out, it had a big Western release, if I recall correctly. There was like no time between when people could see it in Japan and the US, right?
They were really speeding it up. And
yeah. But I feel like the generation who went and saw it then were a lot of like the DBZ fans. It hadn't quite, I don't think until Super came around that you then started to cultivate this new audience that has now grown up and is crying for more Super. And I think even for them, when they look at Super as the TV series, they see the worst part of the show in terms of production value, and they also see the worst version of that story. Yeah. And then going across to the film, I don't know that fixes anything for them. So I don't know that because of that, there is an audience out there that's sitting there going, no, I really, really love this stuff. Whereas people my age who saw the Star Wars prequels were like, yeah, Anakin, he's like me, and Jar Jar's this funny guy, and oh my God, the Darth Maul stuff is cool. And then we grow up and suddenly we're like, yeah, man, that stuff was really fun. It was for us. I don't know that exists. That might age terribly, but I just feel like,
I don't think it will.
Yeah, I think 10 years on now, we've seen that Super audience kind of grow up.
And what do they want? They want the Tournament of Power again. Yeah. Hey, go watch Heroes. There's another Tournament of Power over in that show. It's not as good, but Yamcha does get a girlfriend. So there you go. I'm really glad that I rewatched this movie. I do not foresee a future in which I ever rewatch this movie, which I own 3 times. So I own in quotes. I have a screener for review from Funimation. I have Funimation's official Blu-ray DVD combo. I have the Japanese Blu-ray DVD combo release. I have the France golden box set. That's the thing you gotta buy. That's got Battle of Gods. That's got Resurrection F. And it's got Plan to Eradicate the Super Saiyans and Episode of Bardock. So I own the movie 4 times.
That's a lot of Resurrection F.
I'm never going to fucking rewatch this movie, AJ.
No, I'm the same. Like I bought the special edition fancy thing from Japan that had Yamamura's storyboard book in there, which as an aside,
Frieza alarm clock. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I forgot that was a thing. That's on my shelf somewhere. Yeah. But I will never watch it. I will say as an aside, I fucking despise that the only storyboard book they've ever released is for this film, which has the most dog shit board.
God, I know it.
And I know it's only because Yamamura's board, to his credit, is just a 300-page manga. It's like, I get that, but man, give me the Broly board. Give me everything.
God, we have Toriyama's script for this movie. We have Yamamura's storyboard. I need this for literally anything else than Resurrection.
It's like, why this? Come on. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's funny because in spite of that, I have a weird nostalgia for it. Like I remember, and don't come arrest me, guys, but I have a very ancient cam rip of that film on my PC as well that I've just I will never delete because it's just that's a memory, of such a long time ago now. It's just it's a memory. We'll let it be a memory. I don't think we need to revisit it.
I do not plan on doing a 20-year retrospective on this movie, and if I do, just clonk me on the head and drag me behind the barn for a little bit, and we'll figure out something else to do instead. AJ, thank you for chatting about Resurrection F. This actually went longer than I expected it to. I don't want to say almost as long as the movie itself. We're not quite there yet, but I had a really good time chatting with you about this movie. It was kind of cathartic.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something cathartic about just shitting on something that really deserves the criticism.
but is it shitting on the movie? I hope there are genuine thoughts and feelings and perspectives behind these things. I hope I communicated them well enough. People will listen to things and they'll listen to 5 minutes and they'll turn it off and they'll take away whatever they think they're going to take away from it. But I hope I communicated where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think I would say we were fair. I don't think we were just, sipping on the haterade and spilling it out everywhere. I think it was well reasoned, but yeah, it is fun to talk about this stuff. And I think the reason that it's fun is I think because it's the popular opinion on that film, and it doesn't feel like you kind of have to tread on toes a bit to get your thoughts across. You can kind of just let loose, which is refreshing.
We are recording on the actual 10th anniversary of this movie. I'm going to do what I can to edit and release this on the normal, quote unquote, normal bi-weekly schedule that I got going on right now. But I'm just thinking where I was 10 years ago and just waiting for Julian to respond to me about watching the movie.
Yeah, man.
How far we've come.
Yeah, I was in my second year of university in a house share of 4 people. Then I flew off to Japan, saw the film, had a great time. 10 years later, I am tired.
That exhaustion gets worse with age. AJ, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
No, always good to chat and always fun to talk about Resurrection F. Maybe.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk about Resurrection F. Quote, Anime AJ, April 18th, 2025. The end.
The end. Until Weiss Rewind time. We're doing it over.
Shut up. Thank you once again, and as always, to AJ for joining me to chat about Resurrection F here on the podcast. I am loving where the podcast is right now. We have been every other week for a couple months here. I have podcasts pre-recorded and ready to go on that schedule, taking us into June at bare minimum right now. So I'm very excited for that, to have put in the work ahead of time. And I'll just be ready to go. There's a lot of stuff to check out on the site. Zenpai's been working on translation stuff in the background. We did finally put up the first part of the Montan Web interview series with Akio Ioku, talking about Dragon Ball Daima. There is a part 2 of that, and then there's another interview with Ioku on, I forget, some other site. We have that in the pipeline as well. If you know where to look, there's some other things popping up on the site. Otherwise, I say we leave it there at www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. It has been a pleasure, folks. I will almost certainly see you again in 2 weeks for the next episode of the podcast. Look forward to that. It'll be a good one. And by then, I think my next proxy box should arrive. We'll see if everything gets consolidated and shipped in time. This one's going to be a doozy. I got a lot of magazines coming in. And some VHS tapes. I've bought more VHS in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 25 years. And they all are for something, so stay tuned. That's it. Stay tuned for next time. Thanks as always. Kanzenshuu.com, patreon.com/Kanzenshuu, twitch.tv/VegitoEX, and or grabyournearest.com. Make sure you tune in Saturday nights. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. So I drank so much fucking coffee before this podcast. I got to pee again. So
okay.
Do you mind holding 1 minute?
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Thanks.
And now I take over the Kanzenshuu podcast. Let me tell you all about the wonders of the Westwood dub with Brian Drummond, who is such an incredible Vegeta that despite so many terrible performances all around him, he still manages to do some amazing stuff. Except for this weird period of time where he was really sick and he sounds so unwell, and it's really funny that was kept in. What other tidbits can I throw in here? I don't know. I got nothing. This film sucks. I can't believe I have to talk about this. It's so bad. What else even happens in the film? Beerus and Whis eat strawberries. There's like 3 cutaways to that. Try to remember if it comes before the 1-inch punch or after. That sucks too. Hi Mike, when you're editing this, I know you're going to cut all this, but I'm just talking to myself.